Noobs Are Coming is a fascinating and incredibly addictive action roguelike that entered early access this week. If you're a fan of Brotato specifically, I think you will have an absolute blast with this because it's very similar but stands out enough from the other to make it feel like it can still stand on its own 2 feet, and that's really crucial for what is already a very packed genre. This arena roguelike is actually where you take over as the final boss of a dungeon, and all of the characters coming to kill you are actually players inside a game. They come with usernames, they'll shout little speech bubbles like "Heal me bro" or "Buff me bruv" as they kind of charge towards you, and it's got a really cool aesthetic. The other thing that I really like about this game is the sheer variety of what's inside the game, even for early access, but you will have to grind to some degree to unlock an awful lot what's here. There are 30 characters to choose from, but only 5 I think are available from the outset, and as you complete runs with different characters at different difficulties, or lean into very specific traits to see how far you can bend the game, you'll then unlock new characters that have a different way to bend all of the stats in this game to make you play in a slightly different way, or try out different weapons or buffs so that you can experience the different ways to, I'm not going to say quite break the game, but to kind of lean into, are you fully ranged? Are you going to be melee? Are you going to go into a certain element? There's another character where they can only equip one item of the same thing over and over and over again. So you pick whatever weapon you've got and hope to pray to God that you'll actually be able to work with it throughout the entire run. There's another one where if you stand still with the Minotaur, they go down to minus 100% damage, so you've got to stay moving. There's a worm where actually all of the weapons are on different segments behind it, and it's almost like playing a snake version of the game. There's another one that can only kick around objects, the kind of Donkey Kong version of it, where all of the kickable turrets and like ways how you can turn into a bouncing ball, it's where all of its strengths lie. Another one is around like making sure that you hurt yourself, for example, so that you can then buff yourself over time. There's loads, and it makes you play in different ways to see all of the different things that are there. And as you kind of go to like 50% speed increase or minus 30% like area of effect damage size, something like that, you'll then unlock new special traits that can be added into the mix when it comes to the shop. In terms of the actual moving around and playing in this game, it starts off slow each run, but because you have very little health, every mistake is heavily punished, particularly when you start to get the frogs that start jumping around everywhere, because if they land on top of you, it's an instant kill. And then as you go through the different difficulties, you'll start off with 15 waves per run, and then it will graduate to 20. You'll then end up experiencing more varieties of enemies. They'll have different attack patterns, like the farmer that will kind of plant poisonous crops with big red lines across the screen. And then at the 15th wave of every run, you'll then get kind of a boss. But the boss is entirely optional. You just have to survive the 60 seconds or so that you have to spend in that wave without being overwhelmed by either their attacks or the total sheer overrun of minions throwing themselves at you. And so you can be as aggressive or as scaredy cat as you want to, and that's how you can play it as the boss. And I think that's what makes Noobs Are Coming a really varied, every run feels slightly different type of experience. And that's really where, for me, an action roguelike shines at the moment, because they're so cookie cutter these days that you have to stand out for the crowd by offering a variety or a different theming. And Noobs Are Coming clearly is inspired by Brotato, because it goes almost everything down to nearly identical stats, but it plays just as well and has a totally different theme. As you'll see, all of my gameplay is single player, but there is 2 to 4 player local co-op available in this game, and Steam Remote Play works as well according to the shop description. I can see that working out really well because some of the bosses when they arrive actually come as duos or trios, and so being able to split up and trying to take them on individually I think would be quite a good tactic. It reminds me a little bit of side-scrolling brawlers, I guess, but you can do it in an arena roguelike setting. I also really like just the general parody of an RPG or dungeon crawling universe, and whilst that sounds incredibly fun, what I can't comment on is how the multiplayer scales, because I'd imagine it would be utter chaos if it scaled correctly, because in single player mode, by the time I was getting to difficulty 3 and 4, as you get towards the last 5 or so waves, you are constantly running around trying to avoid everything, hoping for dear God that you can stay ahead of the waves of frogs and weird farmers and all kinds of explosive dynamite bombs just being chucked at you. And so prioritizing speed, but also armor and health replenishments so that you can passively regain your health by staying ahead of the crowd that's throwing itself at you, are really key to being able to survive. Not all characters will let you, but that's part of the fun of Noobs Are Coming, because it will make you and force you to explore different ways of playing throughout the different characters. I have had a blast playing this game. I am 9 hours in. I still haven't uncovered all of the characters, but I have reached difficulty 5 on the kind of scaling going up. And so I feel like I've seen quite a lot of what this game has to offer, and I still want to keep coming back to find some of those last few characters so that I can experience the craziness that this game has to offer. And I think that says a lot for a genre that is already so densely packed with cookie cutter experiences. This one just plays so fluidly and excitedly and tries to fall over itself to give you all kinds of interesting synergies or interesting dynamics to lean into and explore with all of the different stats that it has. So yeah, 2 big thumbs up from me. Noobs are coming out in early access now.